BlackRock, DTCC, Fidelity. The entire thing was just institutions. It's next level. This industry is going to the next level. And guys, I don't know what else to say. I'm bullish.
You said it. You finally said it.
I'm so bullish.
Andy's bullish. I'm bullish. We're bullish. We're going to the top. We're on 4th floor today. We're going to be on floor 1, and then we're headed straight to the moon, boys.
Are we live, Leo?
Classroom level.
Boom! PMT!
We're live.
These
What is going on? I am so pumped.
they see
2 p.m.
It's Fed rate day.
Great day.
banks located in 12 districts
make
and
25
money.
basis points.
also offer in-person
cuts
and
rates by
online
25
professional
basis
development
points.
that allows
25 basis
educators
points cut,
It's
baby.
official.
Right.
to
Oh,
crack
man.
economics,
I didn't mention
personal
this
finance,
earlier,
and
but
more.
2 months ago,
At the board
when
and
they
reserve
thought
banks, students
rates were gonna
also
stay
get
unchanged,
hands-on
I
opportunities
took a 25
like
basis
No,
internships and
so I'm starting
participation,
off today with a
Just
win.
hit.
which
Just
introduce
hit.
them
Yes,
to
sir.
Wow.
And so,
concepts.
for everybody watching, for every win that we hit today, you will see a money rain. You will see a confetti. I expect
Oh, I like
quite
it.
a bit of wins today. PMT calling in, man. How you doing, man?
Through the availability
I am doing great. So excited to be here.
resources
Excited that
that
we're making
explain
this
personal finance
a
concepts,
semi-monthly
broader
tradition with
economy,
these
and the
Fed
Federal
speeches.
Reserve's
It was so
role.
fun last time
Federal
with
Reserve
Rob.
education is committed
You know,
to
in the mention market
educating
game, there's really no
students
better day than
and
this. You know,
empowering
Powell,
consumers in understanding
FOMC
and
speeches are
participating
like
in our
the
evolving
holy
economy.
grail of mentions.
For
I mean,
more
you can see,
information,
look at this. On this
Federal
mention
Reserve
market,
education
we are
is
already at
providing links to
almost a
resources
1.5
and
million
reserve
in
bank
volume. I
programs
mean, you look
offered
at these
to
order
you.
books. Did I ever envision mention markets getting this liquid? I mean, I was seeing in some of these 10,000 share orders. I'm pumped.
Dude, I'm pumped too, man. This is going to be one of the biggest streams of the year for the boys. We're pushing it out. Shout out to Kalshi, the world's largest prediction market for these deep orders today. I think we've got $1.4 million already traded on this mention market.
Reserve Board of Governors.
And I think it'll end at 3 million. I mean, that's at least that's my guess. I mean, who knows? But typically, a lot of trading occurs live during the event, so I wouldn't be surprised if this, breaks records.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right. Well, man, it's great to have you.
Yeah, it is. And I mean,
we got 30 minutes or so till we get this thing started.
Yep. And in the meantime, we can talk about the rate cut. We can also talk about what you got going on in the Kalshi mentioned markets, PMT. So we had a couple dissents. We had Goolsbee dissent in favor of no rate change, as well as Schmid. So that's 2 governors that have dissented towards no change. So there really was no chance that this was going to go towards 50 basis point. We had 10 of the governors go and cut 25 basis point. We had 2 dissent for no change. So PMT, what's your reaction to this? We saw dissent is a strike, right? Do we think this maybe potentially affects the line on how we're viewing this market, or what are you seeing broadly out there?
I mean, I think it'll definitely, come into play in the October meeting. He mentioned that he had 2 dissents. So I think the fact that we're seeing dissents today is pretty bullish, probably on the yes side. And I think you can see that reflected. It's at about 70 cents. Am I going to be picking up shares there? Probably not. To kind of walk through my plays as a whole, whenever I look at mentioned markets, especially as it relates to Trump, I try to handicap it first at a high level where I'm like, do I think this is going to lean more towards the yes side or the no side? I think on this speech, I am leaning towards probably the no side on some of these strikes. What I will say is, for those that watch my content, I would say I am a professional when it comes to Trump. When it comes to Powell, because we don't get these speeches as often, it's definitely a lot harder to kind of refine your skill in kind of predicting what he's going to say. But today I'm leaning towards a lot of no strikes. Probably one of my favorite plays today, though, on the yes side, the only yes position I'm taking, you can see it on my screen, and that is Beige Book. I entered this position at 64 cents roughly. It's now up to about 72%. To explain this one, what's been all over the news, obviously, we had the government shutdown. So we were basically for October, a lot of the government data like CPI, some of the unemployment data was not getting published. And he talked about it in his last FOMC meeting when people were asking, come December, when you have to make a rate decision, when you can't look at CPI or you can't look at unemployment, what are you going to look at? And he mentioned it 3 times. He said, I'm going to look at the Beige Book. So historically, it doesn't hit that much, but I think given the vibes that we're seeing, given the lack of that government data, I think it's very bullish.
PMT, I just want you to know that I am just full tailing you. You came on this stream a couple months ago, and we all lost money. We're going to turn that around, all right, buddy? We're going to turn that around.
Look, last stream, for anyone that didn't watch, I lost almost $3,000. So we are due. That's what I would say. We're due on Powell. This is the one. We're turning it around.
Boom.
The market's already reacting. I mean, ETH is above 3,400. We're seeing the early days of this week also pump. I tend to think that this is the look. We had a mini bear market. Andy and I were going back and forth. Andy was a bear. I was a bull. I tend to think that we're going to see new highs in the first half of 2026, and I think this is part of the resurgence happening in the market. We already had a bear market. It was the last 3 or 4 months, and honestly, we're turning things around.
If I was going to say something, there's a lot of people calling for like this is going to be a hawkish cut, meaning that sure, we're going to cut the rate, and that's what happened. But Jay Powell is going to come on this, presentation and basically not be very dovish. I think that's what the expectation is. Honestly, guys, I think he's going to be pretty dovish. I think that they're going to start to allude to the fact that they're going to run this thing hot next year, and that I mean, look, if you're Jay Powell, you're on your way out. What, you've got 2 more Fed meetings left in your career. Trump's all over him right now. He's all over him right now. So I don't know how the dovish or hawkishness affects the mention markets, but I think this should be fuel for a nice little Santa rally here for the coins.
Well, I think that's a great point. And I mean, something to look at in this speech, obviously, oftentimes people will say, what utility are you getting from mentions? I do feel like for a Powell speech, this is one of the best markets you could have for mentions because people look so closely into Powell's words, right? The guy is so careful with his words. There's a reason he hasn't said Trump by name in almost 20 speeches, except for one, obviously. But, so a market that I'm looking at, even outside of the mention, is as he's giving his speech, what is the Fed January decision going to look like? So there's already a market up for the January decision. It's at about 80% chance that it's good. The rates are going to stay unchanged. So I'm really curious. And we saw this last time, Rob, when we were looking at it, if you recall. I'm curious what's going to happen to the January rate prediction.
If I remember correctly, I think that is when I took 25 basis point for this meeting was the last meeting, and it turned out quite well.
Wow.
And so I think that is a tremendous market to look into because now is when we can look into that and we can get some edge. And I think you're right. Now is the time to be looking ahead to the next meeting. And so I mean, we can also look at the statement. How much do you look at the statement when they issue this Fed statement? It's got some nuggets in here. It's only a few paragraphs. Do you take a look at this when you're thinking about the type of markets that we could see happen today?
I think it's definitely something like smart to look at. I mean, did I look at this today? No, I entered all my positions, before they issued this statement at 2 p.m. But I mean, when you're trading mentions, it's like you got to look at everything you can. And sometimes, the Fed will even publish opening statements for certain meetings that they give ahead of time. So outside of the Q&A, you'll kind of have an idea of, what he's going to say in the open when he comes out. Things to highlight. I mean, let's see, has anything big moved in some of these prices? It looks like QE's kind of back to 66, but I did see some movement.
I'm seeing that look, this is from our friends at Watcher Guru, are saying that the Federal Reserve will buy $40 billion worth of treasury bills over the next 30 days. That sounds like QE to me.
Yeah.
Now I'd imagine that's going to come out of the statement somewhere.
Wow. So that might be very bullish on the QE strike. Obviously, I'm holding no, and you can see yes is kind of jumping up there, now up to 42%. So
I got in at
we might be cooked.
I got yes on QE at 32 cents.
I'm not sure if I took
one
that.
We were counterparties
wait,
on.
so wait. We took QE for no? I got no at
I did.
Oof. So there's
I got no at 50% chance. Yeah,
I think I'm fading you guys on some things. I think look,
it's bad vibes, Rob. Bad vibes, bro.
No, this
Andy
is great.
PMT on all the takes. Just blind.
Clearly, I have a mind of my own somewhere in there.
I've got fuck you higher. I've got QE to the moon. I got QE at 32 cents. I think I think we're on the rise.
So let's look at QE. I mean, he hasn't said quantitative easing since his May speech. When he got kind of asked about it, I think he was talking about explaining QE. He said it 3 times. So he's gone 4 speeches without bringing up
PMT,
QE.
real quick.
But obviously, yeah.
That was crazy fact-checking speed. How were you able to pull up QE? He's said QE publicly last in May. He said it 3 times.
Insane.
What is your data source?
I pay for a data tool. I don't publicize it because I think they keep it. Look, they keep it to a limited number of users. If everybody had all the data,
wow,
it's funny.
You got me shoving market orders on my iPhone app, and you're over here cooking me.
It's funny because there are all these new tools coming out for all this stuff. Like there's people building all this tools for mention markets as they've gone so mainstream. So they're building like all these repositories of historical data. But I basically use one of those. I pay a few $100 a month for it. And it's like any Powell speech, Trump speech, whatnot. I can see all the historicals. I can look through any word and know in like a second, when was the last time he said it? What's the frequency? So, one of the biggest things to look at for mentions, right, is historical frequency, taking a more data approach, but also what's even more important is kind of knowing the vibes like you brought up with, if the Fed's going to be, buying now and like entering QE, obviously, who cares if he didn't say it in the last 4 speeches? Maybe he's bringing it up here.
I'm looking at the statement and there's a sentence in here, the second sentence of the second paragraph, uncertainty. Keyword uncertainty about the economic outlook remains elevated. I think that's going to catch people by surprise. And PMT, if you remember correctly, if I remember correctly, the last meeting, uncertainty had a bar of 5 mentions where it had to be 5+ times.
Yeah. Now it's 3.
Now it's only 3.
Now it's 3.
We see in the statement that they're talking about uncertainty. So guys, I'm slamming uncertainty
for 3+ times. How do we feel about that, PMT?
Wow. Look, I mean, I think I like the rationale. I like the vibes on it. I mean, that's you can see, by the way, talking about this, are people looking at what the Fed just published in their statement? I mean, this was trading in the 50s before this came out. Just now, it looks like it jumped all the way up to 70. So, you're buying the top a little bit, but maybe
Robbie's good at that one.
Also, PMT, there's really wide spreads here. Like we were talking in the chat a little bit about, how deep the liquidity in these markets are and therefore how tight the spreads are in these strikes. But now, right after they announce the numbers, I mean, I'm seeing a 12-cent spread in the uncertainty market.
Yep. And that's because as soon as a mention market is just about to go live, you can see they published, right, when will this start is 2 p.m. So a lot of people that are setting orders, right, they're going to want to pull all their orders down right at 2 p.m., right when the event starts. So you will see its liquidity dry up like as the event starts. And I mean, think about it. If Powell is actually talking, right, and you have an order up, I mean, that's a big risk, because if he says your word, somebody's going to fill your order.
Dude, that clip of yours went so viral that I feel like that's like kind of relevant here. It's not exactly the same thing that you're talking about.
Well, there's tactics here as the speech is going on. So there's a tactic.
Dude, talk to us about your viral clip, though. Tell us how you did that. What happened there? How did you make this happen?
Well, that one was funny. And that what I was basically talking about, for anyone that didn't, it's just a clip that's doing some numbers today. But basically, you know, you can imagine after a word is said in a speech, right, it should go to basically 100% because it already was said. And then if you're holding yes shares, it can take a couple hours for them to resolve these markets. So if you just want your instant money, it's like using Venmo, right? And you want an instant cash out to your bank account rather than waiting a little bit of time. You know, people will sell out of their shares at 99 cents. Usually there's people that will use kind of automated systems to be able to buy up all the yes shares and put a big limit order in right after a word comes out. But for the specific Trump speech that we were looking at a few days ago, I know the person who has kind of that automated script, and they weren't running it at that time. So I was able to be the first one to get a 99-cent, bid in. But there's risks with that. That's what I'll say. Even when you do that, buying something at 99, you got to be very knowledgeable of, any potential disputes that could come your way. Because sometimes you'll think a word was said, but it gets later disputed. I've seen 99-cent things flip all the way down the other way. So I would not recommend it to new users. But if you're seasoned, a lot of people will, do that.
PMT, we got a question from the community here. I think you've publicly shared like where you are on this journey. I believe you're somewhere around 75K in profit on Kalshi up until this point. You're closing in on 100K. You're on the road to 100K. How have these markets affected that journey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, mention markets are certainly my specialty, and that's what I focus on.
What are the hottest categories?
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So for mentions, the hottest categories are Trump speeches. So Trump gives a speech almost every day. That's what I tend to focus on. I don't miss a Trump speech. So for almost 2 months, I've watched nearly every single Trump speech. And those are the most frequent. You also have Powell, obviously, but that's only, every month or so, although those will do a ton of volume like you're seeing today with this speech. And then the next mention that I've recently been trading a lot is a new category for announcers. So sports announcers, what will they say during a game? They've been launching them for every primetime NFL game. And I've been able to find a lot of edges there. I think when I last came on the stream, I was probably close to like 50 to 55K profit. As of today, we are officially right on the cusp of $79,000 in profit. So we're coming up. We've been doing like about 3 to 4K a month on average over the last not a month, a week. So
that's epic.
We're getting there.
And is it mostly up until the right? I mean, you came on the stream last time, we lost a few grand. That obviously is going to happen depending on where you're at. But like, are you seeing very stark drop-offs, very volatile winnings, or is it pretty much a steady, consistent income on these markets?
Yeah, there is definitely volatility. I will say, since I've started like documenting it on Twitter, I think I'm on week 12. I've been lucky to not have a down week yet, but there's a lot of volatility in between it. So like you said, last time I came on the show, I lost $3,000 live, so whenever you're trading these things, right, there's variance because you're just looking for edges. Maybe your fair value is 75%. The market has it at 50%. That still means 25% of the time you're going to, lose money. So So there's definitely variance. And I'd say even last week, I started last week down $5,000 on my first day after I took a big position on a Spotify release. I bought something at 95% that resolved to 0. Mention markets the rest of last week made like just under 7K on mentions, I believe, to claw back to a profitable
12
week.
12
but I
profitable
learned a
weeks
lot.
in a row is a hot streak. At a certain point, it doesn't even feel like it's gambling anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I've always taken that approach, right? To just like trying to find edges. So I definitely like don't view it that way for me personally and how I kind of look at it. Obviously it's a very fun thing, but like, you know, I'm definitely picking my spots. So like Powell today is kind of a good example where, you know, this is a lower confidence mention for me. Obviously we're doing this stream, so I'm going to pick some positions here, but I am not sized up that large. You know, I have probably just under $3,000 on this mention, which, you know, is decent, but nothing crazy. Versus if I'm playing like NFL announcer markets, something I have a very high degree of knowing I have an edge, I'll size up there more. Like I've had $10,000 on an announcer market.
What gave you the confidence to go much deeper into that particular event?
I mean, it's really just having strong conviction that you have a big edge in certain spots. So I'll give an example. On weeks ago, there was a 49ers game, and there was a strike for, would the NFL announcers say the word turf? So you may think of that just in relation to the grass, right? Are they going to say turf? But Brock Purdy was coming back from, I think, being out for like 6 weeks with turf toe. So we got 3,000 shares of turf at 50% likelihood. And I mean,
that's their starting quarterback.
You know,
that's like one of the most important, significant players in that matchup.
Yeah. So there I had fair value of turf at like probably at least 80%. So that's a huge kind of edge that I had in that spot. So I sized up as big as I could. So, you know, size up when you have a great spot. And I always tell for new people wanting to get you know, I'll say $12, $100. At least you want to like have a little bit to where, you know, you're invested in like caring about the outcome, but start small, prove out that you can be profitable, and then, you know, you can start to think about sizing up. But
okay.
PMT, we had a bunch of stuff in the chat here that I want to bring to you. So we got first of all, people are confused about QE. They're like, we want QE no. I got QE no.
I got QE yes.
I have QE yes. Good luck. I have a lot of no's. Degen Vol just dove in on yes. Uncertainty 3+. So, James Ball knower.
Yep.
Why is QE steaming? I am on no.
I think QE is steaming because they've talked about their plan to buy bonds. And so for anyone who's unfamiliar, like when you are increasing the balance sheet of the Fed, you're adding liquidity to the markets, and the Fed is taking up the other side of that trade. And so that is literally the definition of QE. And because they've announced this plan as part of their statement that they issued, that's why people are thinking they're going to get questions about it. Are they going to, you know, is QE starting, right? At the last meeting, it was all about QT ending, right? So now it's the natural progression. Okay, first QT has to end, and then we kind of reach this like neutral equilibrium, and then QE starts. And that is what people are expecting. They issued the statement. They expect questions about it and Powell to talk about it.
You know what's interesting though? In the last 4 speeches, because it is a transition from QE to QT, the reverse, but how many times you think they said QT?
I'll go with 4.
No, it's 0.
0.
Yeah.
0. That's why I'm saying, despite them, they don't bring it up. It's going to be very dependent on if he gets asked about it. But
you know, I think there's multiple phrases for these terms, right? So he could say expansion.
Rob, let's go to standby real quick. We got 5 minutes till Powell comes on. We're just gonna get the screen set up, do a couple quick things, finalize our setup here, and we'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, fire it up. Let's go. All right, great start. I think we're on standby now.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? Infinify gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. Infinify is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinify.xyz.
Halliday is unified crypto payments. Give your users more wherever they are. Go to halliday.xyz to never write a smart contract again.
Open, stable, borderless. Frax is building the next generation of stablecoin infrastructure for the digital finance era. Visit frax.com to learn more today.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to havachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? Infinify gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. Infinify is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinify.xyz.
Halliday is unified crypto payments. Give your users more wherever they are. Go to halliday.xyz to never write a smart contract again.
Open, stable, borderless. Frax is building the next generation of stablecoin infrastructure for the digital finance era. Visit frax.com to learn more today.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its Rio upgrade, Polygon is now let's go. Come on, Leo. All right, here we go. Turn it up.
Here we go.
Focused on achieving our dual
Good afternoon
goals
hit.
of
Dual
maximum
mandate, baby.
and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Although important federal government data for the past
Wow, someone already
Private
bonded
sector data.
100,000. Yes, good
That's
afternoon.
insane.
for employment and
Afternoon at
inflation has
99.
not changed
That's what I was talking
as
about. It's
much
crazy.
since our meeting in October.
Here we go.
Conditions in the labor market appear to be gradually cooling, and inflation remains somewhat elevated. In support of our goals, in light of the balance of risks to employment and inflation, today
Balance
the
of
Federal
risk.
Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by a 1/4 percentage point. As a separate matter, we also decided to initiate purchases of shorter-term Treasury securities solely for the purpose
Oh boy.
of maintaining
We
an
gotta
ample supply of
survive QE.
reserves,
Oh boy.
thus supporting effective control of our policy rate. I will have to say monetary
He said it's
They're
just to
gonna
support
buy
reserves, though.
marketable
Is that really
securities.
QE?
Economic
That's
developments.
QE.
No, but he has to say it. No.
He has to say it, but he's going to get so many
government
questions
data have
about
yet
it.
to be released.
I'm
Available
loading up more
indicators
on
suggest
QE,
that
guys.
economic
Dude,
activity
damn it.
Yeah, you're right.
at a moderate pace.
We're getting
Oh.
cooked on this.
Consumer spending
Man, we're
appears to have remained
counterparties.
solid,
Let's hold
and
in.
business fixed investment has continued to expand. In contrast, activity in the housing sector remains weak. The temporary shutdown of the federal government
said
has likely
consumer
weighed
shutdown.
on economic activity in the current quarter.
Oh, I
But
had
these
no
effects
shutdown.
should be mostly offset by
Shut down
growth
already.
next quarter,
Yeah, but
reflecting
small.
the reopening.
Really?
In
Wow.
our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects that real GDP
Median.
will rise 1.7%
Yep.
this year and 2.3% next year, somewhat stronger than projected.
Wow, Beige Book is ripping. That was
Wow.
such a good call. It's ripping. Beige Book's
Let's
ripping.
go beige
For
book. Let's
October.
go beige book.
That's my biggest one, bro.
Let's see if
Available
we can
evidence
get it.
suggests
Let's get this
750 on
home.
that thing.
and hiring remain low, and that both households' perceptions of job availability and
It's always
perceptions of
Q&A.
hiring difficulty continue to decline.
Yep.
The official report on the labor market for September, the most recent release, showed that the unemployment rate continued to edge up, reaching 4.4%.
Wow, he pointed to September.
Since
That's a
early
good sign.
Right,
year.
beige.
Because they're going to say, why are you looking
A
at
good part of
September?
the slowing likely reflects a decline in the growth of the labor force due to lower immigration and labor force participation, though labor demand has clearly softened as well. In this less dynamic and somewhat softer labor market, the downside risks to employment appear to have risen in recent months. In our SEP, the median projection of the unemployment rate is 4.5% at the end of the year and edges down thereafter.
Wow.
Wow, descent just ripped. I guess you just said it.
Significantly from its high in mid-2022.
Did it
must
hit?
have.
Means
Yeah.
elevated
Just jumped 23
No, it's
23
it looks like
Just someone buying.
inflation have been released.
yeah, they thought it was going to
in
hit.
October.
They bought at 91.
Total PCE prices rose 2.8% over the 12 months ending in September, and excluding the volatile food and energy categories.
Volatile. Volatile.
Does that
is
count for
also
volatility?
0.8%.
Oh,
Oh no, no, it doesn't. We're holding.
They
We're
remain
holding on
as inflation
volatility.
for goods has moved up, reflecting the effects of
We are
tariffs.
safe.
In contrast, disinflation appears to be continuing for services.
But he said tariff, but
Measures of
not tariff inflation.
Expectations have declined
I'm on
from
no
their
tariff
peaks
inflation.
earlier in the year, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures.
Wow, it's
Long-term
crazy.
expectations
It's
remain
crazy.
consistent with our
Unchanged
2% inflation
Yep.
goal.
has kind of jumped up.
The median projection in the
There's some
SEP
at
for total
56.
PCE
Wow.
inflation is 2.9% this year,
you saw my text in the chat, PMT?
a bit lower
Yeah,
than
cool,
the median
cool.
projection in September.
Yeah.
All good.
I
After,
did.
the median falls to 2%. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. At today's meeting, the committee decided to lower the target range for the federal funds rate by a quarter percentage point.
$1.6 million so far of volume.
Super
In the
wide
risks
spreads,
to
but
inflation
on
are
gas,
tilted to the upside.
gasoline,
Wow.
natural gas,
Risks to
17
employment
cents
to the
90
downside.
cents.
A challenging
Chat is firing pump. Dot plot, yes, gonna cook. No, we got dot plot.
as
No.
we navigate this tension.
We're on
Going
dot plot. No,
ADP,
yeah.
No, I don't have that, but I got dot plot. No.
This case is that the effects of tariffs on inflation will be relatively short-lived, effectively a one-time shift in the price level.
Tariff inflation. Did he just say tariff inflation?
No,
An increase in
he's
the
got to
price
say it.
will not become
no,
an
we're-
ongoing.
That was super
think we're
dovish
holding,
what
but
he
yes.
said, though. He did say it's a
But with
one-time
downside
increase where
risks
he
to
was
employment
holding
having risen
steady,
in recent
Oh,
months.
yeah.
steady that it was going
Balance
to
of
be
risks has
entrenched.
shifted. More
Oh,
calls
good.
for us to
January
take a
is
balanced
January rates
pumping.
moving?
Yeah,
Well,
market's
same bit.
definitely pumping.
mandate.
Yep. Bitcoin's bouncing.
I'm curious.
Appropriate at this meeting to lower
January
Hey,
our
rate?
policy
market's
rate by
pumping.
a
That's
quarter
there we
percentage
go.
point.
Okay.
With the we have lowered the policy rate 0.75 of a percentage point
Let me see
over
if I
our
can
last
find it.
3 meetings. This
Let's
further
see,
normalization
Fed.
of our policy
Fed
stance
decision in
should
January.
help stabilize the
Cut
labor
25
market
basis points,
while allowing
23%.
inflation to
I think
resume
I'm
its
slamming
downward
that.
trend toward 2%.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
think
think
it
a
cut
cut in
too.
January?
Cut in
Wow.
January.
The adjustments to our policy stance since September bring it within a range of plausible estimates of neutral and plus
Okay, it
well-positioned
seems like the
and
open's
timing of
almost
additional
over.
adjustments to our policy rate based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. In our summary of economic projections, FOMC participants wrote down
Oh gosh, don't say dot
of an
plot.
appropriate
I see some dots on the
That is
screen.
the
It's
dot plot.
scaring me a little
participant
bit.
to be the most negative scenario
Don't
for
say
the
it.
economy. The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be
Don't say it,
3.4% at the end of 2026 and 3.1% at the end of 2027, unchanged from September.
Unchanged? You said
Unchanged hit.
unchanged.
Yep. Unchanged just hit it.
Oh,
You
we
want to-
just got cooked on
Damn
unchanged.
it.
Okay, I had some no's.
Monetary
There.
policy
I don't think I
is
took
not on a
anything
percentage
Correct me
board,
on that.
and we will make our decisions on a meeting-by-meeting basis.
Damn.
Wonder people
People
knew
just
ahead
got
of time.
recently
People were
unchanged.
voting in
Sorry, bro.
yes.
With the reminder that these issues are separate from
Did they
and have no
did they talk about unchanged at all in the
monetary policy.
release that they did at 2?
In
Control
light of the
F.
continued tightening in money market interest rates
No.
relative to our administered rates and other
I'm
indicators
looking really good though on the odds. I'm
judge
I'm
that
up
the
on everything
have declined to ample
except
levels.
for unchanged.
All right.
Obviously.
The committee decided
for
to initiate
unchanged.
purchases of
Uncertainty
Oh,
cooks.
here's
securities,
QE.
mainly
Listen.
Treasury bills, for the sole purpose of
dude.
maintaining an ample supply of reserves over time. Such increases in securities holdings
Oh my, he's gonna get so many questions.
just
about
for
this.
I
I love it. I
Supply
absolutely love it.
reserve.
because the growth of the economy leads
come
to
on, that's
rising
not
demand over
QE.
time for our liabilities, including currency and reserves.
I will say,
As
Andy, you were
detailed
right.
in a
This is
statement
super
released today
dovish.
by
A
the
lot more
Federal Reserve
dovish than
Bank of
people
New
thought
York.
going into
Yeah.
this.
Reserve
They
management
thought it was going to be a hawkish cut, or yeah, a hawkish
in the
cut.
first month and may remain elevated for a few months to alleviate expected near-term pressures in money markets. Thereafter, we expect the size of reserve management purchases to decline, though the will depend on market conditions.
Wow, look at volatility. No,
In our
it's
framework, and
it's looking pretty good.
means
But I mean, it's
super
hinted
widespread
over, so-
short-term
now.
interest rates primarily controlled by the
Yeah,
Fed
volatility.
Yeah.
I could cash out for a double on that.
discretionary interventions in
Well,
money
no, you can't. It says 219.
standing
Well,
or
Well, you can't exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
rule. The federal funds rate remains within its target range, even on days
Yeah.
of elevated pressures in money markets.
man, this is a pretty
Consistent
long
with this
open.
view, the committee eliminated the aggregate limit on standing repo operations. These operations are intended to
I got
support
filled
monetary policy
Way
implementation
low on gasoline.
and smooth
I'm just
market
putting limit
functioning
orders in market
should be
making these
used
things.
when economically sensible.
It's okay. Just don't put limit orders on
Two
no
goals
shares.
for
Don't
money.
try to buy no shares.
Maximum.
Oh, they get scooped up.
Because then when he says
Yeah.
something,
We remain committed
somebody's just gonna.
Yeah.
Bring
Yeah, I
inflation
got some, like,
sustainably
shares with
down to
limit
our
orders.
3% goal
Hail Mary,
and
yes,
keeping
please.
longer-term inflation expectations anchored.
National debt,
Our
Trump,
success in
Oh, yeah.
delivering on these
pardon,
goals
gas,
matters to all
consumer
Americans.
confidence.
We understand that our actions.
We're counterparties on pardon.
I know,
If he
that was
doesn't
a-
cough in
that
the
was a
open,
huge
it's
in
really
one.
hard
service
for
to
him
our
to say
public
pardon.
mission.
Because he coughed and he didn't say
At the Fed,
pardon.
we will do everything we
Yeah.
can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
All right, Q&A.
Wow, that
All
was
right,
it,
now
huh?
we gotta survive.
We're looking really
We're not
good.
done yet.
Thank you, Howard Schneider with Reuters. Just first turning to the statement, just to be
Uh-oh.
clear, we're on the same page here.
QE coming.
The insertion of the phrase, considering the extent and timing of additional
Yeah.
adjustments, does that indicate that the Fed is now on hold until there's some clearer signal from inflation or jobs or the evolution of the economy along the baseline?
Let's not see tariff inflation here.
So-
Let's hold.
Yes, the adjustments since September bring our policy within a broad range of estimates of neutral. And as we noted in our statement today, we are well positioned to determine the extent and timing of additional adjustments based on the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks.
Talk about the data, pal.
We'll
Talk about the
carefully
beige book.
look at incoming data. And also, I would note that having reduced our policy rate by 75 basis points since September and 175 basis points since last September, the Fed funds rate is now within a broad range of estimates of its neutral value, and we are well positioned to wait to see how the economy evolves.
And if I
Okay.
could follow up on the outlook there, it seems like with the addition coupled with
Doesn't look great for my
inflation and a
January
fairly
25
steady
basis point
unemployment
cut.
Good
rate
answer.
Yeah, but that's just
Good
what he's
prepared
saying, you know?
answer.
outlook for next year, what's given rise to that? Is this an early bet on AI? Is there some
Oh, here goes the AI hit.
Oh, AI question.
productivity out there? What's,
No,
what's
that- he's
driving
gotta
that?
He's
say it.
definitely going to say it.
Are driving
question-
what's happening in the forecast. And I would say if you look broadly at outside forecasts, you do see a pickup in growth in many of
This is
those
gonna
now
be
too.
AI.
So it is
AI
it's
at
partly that
99, but he
consumer
hasn't said
spend
it yet.
held up.
Hasn't said it.
It's been resilient, and it to another degree it is that AI spending.
There
We
it is.
just said it.
There it
and
is.
related to
Crowd's always asking the
somebody's
right
got a
questions.
latency
Yep.
edge.
So overall, the baseline expectation for next year is, at least at the Fed, and I think with outside forecasters too, is a pickup in growth from today's relatively
Nothing's really
low.
happening in the market, though. No one's really doing anything.
I mentioned that
Yeah.
the SEP meeting is
Look, we like nothing
year growth
happening
at 2.2.
when we're holding all
Yep.
those shares.
He actually
A very calm and like boring Fed meeting is perfect for
you
us.
could take 2/10 out
Yep.
of 2026 and put it in 2025, so it would really be 1.9.
1.6 million.
But overall, yes,
I'm on no. I'm on no too. We're on tons of no's, Jack.
And as I mentioned,
We are loaded on some
the
no's.
consumer continues to
Quick
spend.
heads up, man. AI. How many times have you said
Like
uncertainty?
the baseline would be
Yeah, a
solid.
lot.
Sure.
This is delayed by 6 seconds. 8 seconds. Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you.
Hope the QE goes through. Guys, we're on Yes Beige Book, no tariff inflation, no QE,
Described rate cuts in
no
terms
volatility.
of management framework, and kind of following up on what Howard was asking. Is the risk management phase of rate cuts over here?
Good question for us.
Have you taken out sufficient insurance, I guess, against potential weakness in terms of the data we might get next week?
Oh, dot plot. No, please no dot plot.
So we're going to get a great deal of data between now and
Beige
the
Book, Beige Book. Come on.
meeting. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. And that will,
Come
the
on,
data
Beige
that we
Book.
get are going to factor into our thinking. But yes, we have, if you go back, we held our policy rate at 5.4% for more than a year because inflation was
beige.
high, very
Let's
high,
see it.
and
bullish.
unemployment and the labor market was really solid at that point. So what happened is over last summer of 24, inflation came down and the labor market began to show real signs of weakness. And so we decided, as our framework tells us to do,
His throat's getting a little choppy, so
become
for part of
fine.
it, yes.
you should move from a stance that you're really dealing with
Yeah, and this is a longer
inflation
answer.
to a
Long
more
answers are good for
balanced,
part and
more
yes
neutral
holders.
setting. And so we did that. We did some cutting, and then we paused for a while to work our way
Someone
through.
had the script on unchanged. Still can't believe he said that.
And then we
Crazy.
resumed in September, and we've cut now 3. We've now cut a total of
Yeah.
75 basis points. And as I mentioned,
They
you know,
knew, man.
we
That
feel
price
like,
moved right before.
where we're positioned now we're well positioned to wait and see how the economy evolves from here.
If I could just follow up on the SEP, you have a whole lot of
Go ahead and cough.
increase in the growth numbers,
Yeah.
but not a big decline in the unemployment numbers. And is that an AI factor in there? What
Uh-oh.
More AI.
Oh, another
growth, you
AI.
don't get a whole
Wow.
lot.
We need
Yeah.
AI 5
It is-
plus.
the implications.
We need Beige Book.
I know.
Some of that may just
Hey, you remember we had to wait,
Productivity
Rob,
has
with
just-
Facebook
Yeah.
last time.
almost structurally higher
It took
for
a
several
while.
years now. So if you start thinking of it as 2% per year, you can sustain higher growth
Did you guys take
without
restrictive
without
now?
more job creation.
No.
Of course, higher productivity is also what enables
I'm not
incomes
on
to
that.
rise over long periods of time. So it's
That one's
basically a
pumping.
good thing. But that's certainly the
Got in at
implication.
10 cents.
Wow, 10
Yeah.
cents for no?
Thank you, Colby Smith.
At 30
The
cents.
Wow.
Tezos decision was clearly very divided. It wasn't just
What a
official
live
dissents
trade.
against a
Man.
cut, but there were also soft dissents from
Here's dissent. I mean, it already
this
already
reluctance
did.
from
Yeah.
several people to support.
Oh, wait, no, it didn't.
Reduction.
Yeah, it didn't.
Suggests
Is
that
this
there
going to be
is a
it?
much higher bar for cuts in the near term. And what exactly does the committee need to see if things are well positioned right now to support a January reduction?
Sure. So let me just say, as I mentioned,
This is going to be big for
the
January, what they're
situation
going to do.
is that our two goals are a bit in tension, right? So interestingly, everyone around the table at the FOMC agrees that inflation is too high and that we want it to come down, and agrees that the labor market has softened and that there's further risk. Everyone agrees on that. Where the difference is how do you weight those risks, and what does your forecast look like, and where do you ultimately where do you think the bigger risk is, and it's very unusual to have persistent tension between the two parts of the mandate. And when you do, this is what you see. And I think it's actually what you would expect to see. And we do see it. Meanwhile, the discussions we have are as good as any we've had in my 14 years at the Fed. They're very thoughtful, respectful, and you just have people who have strong views. And, we come together and we
Yep.
Still no dissent.
a place where we can make
Wow.
a decision. We made a decision today. We had 9 out of 12 supported
After
it.
two
So
questions
fairly
about
broad
it.
support. But it's not like the normal situation where everyone agrees on the direction and what to do. It's more spread out. And I think that's only inherent in the situation. In terms of what it would take, we all have an outlook in terms of what's going to come. But I think
Stocks are bouncing.
having cut 75 and the effects of the 75 basis points will only begin
Let's
to be
see.
coming in. As I said before a couple times, we're well positioned
Wow.
to wait to see how the economy evolves. We'll just have to see. And we will get, as you know, quite a
The
bit.
nose are looking good.
I should mention on the data, that
Something I'm looking at live is pandemic,
be
yes.
forward assessing,
I'm
particularly
going to see
the
where this
household
goes.
You like it?
survey data.
I might like it. I'm going to see. I'm putting a limit order up.
About the way data
I'll
are
see if I can get some fills.
some of
People
these,
are
Pandemic's at
dumping.
inflation.
Oh, he's talking
and
about
in,
data collection.
23%
labor
only now.
market, so that
Yeah.
the data may be distorted and not just sort of more volatile, but distorted. And that's
I know.
Oh, volatile.
I know.
He keeps scaring us.
not collected in October
Oh
and
my
half
gosh.
of November. So we're going to get data, but we're going to have to
is this
look
gonna
at
be
it
Come
carefully.
on.
Skeptical eye by the time of the January meeting. Notwithstanding that, we will have a lot of the December data by the time of the January meeting. So we expect to see a lot more, but I'm just saying that the what we get for example, CPI or for the household survey, we're gonna look at that really carefully and understand that it may be distorted by very
No.
Wow. How is
factors.
he not saying base?
And just
Book here.
one more
I know.
very positive way, just given the complicated
It's
nature
long
of the
press
situation
That was our
we're in
opportunity.
economically. But is there any
45
point in
minutes
which
to
those
go.
dissents become counterproductive,
Another
either
dissent.
One more
to
time.
the Fed's
Still hasn't said
communication and the messaging around
It's crazy.
forward?
I can get you.
That is crazy.
We're at that point at all.
Because he got asked
I
about
would
it
say,
like twice.
Again, these are good, thoughtful, respectful discussions.
You can get
and
filled
you
low.
hear people say, and you'll hear
On what?
many
On
others
Dissent-
pandemic?
say the same
Dissent
thing.
is
I
Yeah.
can make a
22
case
to
for
70.
either
I
side.
just put
He's
in a
not
bid
saying
at
it.
25
He's not
cents.
saying it.
This call, we have to make decisions.
Dude, do you think
think that's a
any of
good
these
buy
people
if you're
who are
getting that
asking
at, like,
questions are
22.
also wagering on Kalshi or Play Market, like
Competing.
on prediction markets?
If you looked at the SEP,
You can't
Yeah.
wager
Yeah.
on the
That's
specific
what they
market
say.
if you can influence it. But I
Or
will
the-
say,
the upside.
Dude, the nose are looking great. We
So
just
what do
need
you do? We've got one tool. You
Look,
can't do
you
two
know,
things at once. So
This is vibe.
but
you move.
We're just
Hey.
chilling here.
you're
I
making
picked
that
up this
thing.
cent at
And what's
25
the
cents.
timing of
You
them?
can't be-
It's very
I picked up some pandemic
we're in a good
yeses
place
at
to, as
24.
I
wide
mentioned, to
spreads.
wait and see how the economy evolves.
I know.
Shout out
That's why
PMT
I'm
for
putting
showing
it.
us how to do limit orders on Kalshi.
That's my best tip. If there's one thing people take away, it's to do limit
Chair Powell,
orders.
there's been some discussion recently of the 1990s. In the 1990s, the committee did two discrete
Discussion about the
sequences of
1990s?
three quarter point cuts, one in 1995,
What are
96,
they
and
talking
one in
about?
1998. And after
Rocking
both of
bad
those,
hair.
the next
Oh my
move
gosh.
was up, not down. With policy now closer to neutral, is it a foregone conclusion that the next move in rates is down, or should we think of policy risks as genuinely too steep?
Oh, is anyone holding no restrictive, by the way?
Yeah.
That was like 90
Yeah.
10.
A,
right.
Did you
a
end up
rate
getting
hike
I got
is
in at
anybody's
10
base
cents.
as the next is anybody's base case.
Yes, it
That's what I
was.
was saying, man.
What
Yeah.
you see
That
is
was
some people feel
the Hail Mary
should
we were
stop
talking about,
here.
right?
and that we're at the right place and just wait.
Oh man, knock
Some
on
people
wood that
feel
that
like we
whole
should cut once or more this year and next year. But but when people are writing down their estimates of policy of where it should go, it is either holding here or cutting a little or cutting more than a little. So I don't see the base case as involving
That's
that.
dovish.
So of course, a
Said
data
no
set
rate
of
hikes
2 now
at all.
3 is
Hey,
is not a big
PMT, could you explain a bit like your live strategy, like the
Time.
difference between live versus
If I could
like before the meeting starts?
very gradually.
Yeah.
over 2 years,
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing I
no
look
longer
for
control
live is like honestly nowadays a lot of the trades I'm doing are live during speeches. What you guys are seeing, right? These spreads are pretty crazy. So if you like a word and you get into it live, you can place a limit order to buy yes, say at the bottom of that spread, and you'll get filled at extremely low prices. I mean, you look at pandemic. Pandemic was 50-50 going into this speech, and I thought there's no world he would say pandemic in the open. I thought he would only say it in the Q&A. So instead of buying pandemic
Yep.
at 50 cents, I'm getting filled at 24. So it's just things to think about when you're trading these. Oftentimes, people holding yes shares will get really scared during a speech, and they'll start dumping their shares live too early. So if you're watching, you can pick up some
Okay.
cheap shares.
Limit orders only.
I feel like we have made progress this year in non-tariff related inflation.
Yes, and
as
don't put a
tariffs
limit order to
come
buy
through,
no
Tariff-related
flow
shares,
through,
inflation?
like we were
that will
saying.
show through next year.
Oh
But
my
as I
gosh,
said, we're-
non-tariff.
We're well
That doesn't
placed
count.
to wait.
Oh,
and
man,
see
we
how
gotta
that
hold.
turns out. That is our expectation.
Did
but,
we hold
we're
through
gonna
there?
start
No
to see
tariff
the
inflation?
data
That
will
was a
tell us
sweat.
whether we were right or not.
Come on, beige
Holy
book.
cow. A lot of close calls on this
Hi,
one.
Joe. Sweat.
Financial Times.
See, that's the thing with holding no
A
shares,
lot
you know,
of
is it's
people
just
interpreted
it's a
your
sweat.
comments at the October meeting that, when there's a foggy situation, we slow down to mean that, there wouldn't be a cut now, there'd be a cut in January instead. So it'd be good to get a sense of why did the committee decide to move today rather than to move in January instead? Thank you.
Right. So in October, I said
Do you think national debt will
certainty
Will be
of
said?
moving, and that was
I took a flyer on that.
National debt.
I said it's
Got it at
possible you
10
could think about
cents.
it that way, but I was careful to say other people could look at it differently.
I don't know
So
why it would be
why did we
said,
move
to be
today?
honest.
I would
But
say
is there a good
to a couple of
case?
things. First of all, gradual cooling in the labor market has continued. Unemployment is now up
We say
0.3
cooling in the labor
from
market.
June through
Usually
September.
that's softening.
Payroll jobs
Yep.
averaging 40,000 per month since April. We think there's an overstatement in these numbers by about 60,000. So that would be negative 20,000 per month.
For
And
Oh,
also
boy.
just
Contact,
one of the things.
Jerome
I'm getting out of
Powell
this
literally
position.
never
Sure,
said
never
national
said
debt.
it.
I'm actually
Workers.
up on it.
So
a few percent.
I
moved
think
it
you
out.
can
But-
say
but
that
I don't know if there's
the labor market has continued to
maybe
cool
there's a reason
gradually,
though. I don't
maybe
know.
just a touch
Somebody
more
probably knows
gradually than we
something.
thought. In terms of inflation, it's going to come in a touch lower, and I think the
Okay.
evidence
No tariff
is,
inflation.
kind of growing. That what's
I know
happening
that
here
one
is
one's a
services
sweat so
inflation.
far.
Services.
coming down, and that's offset by increases in goods.
Don't
Goods
No.
inflation is entirely in.
Oh,
So that does build on the story, and so far it's only a story.
But goods
This-
inflation
that-
is
that
okay.
the goods inflation, which is really the source of the excess at this point, almost more than half the source of the excess inflation is goods, is tariffs. And
Oh my
I'd say
gosh.
then, so
Oh man.
Oh.
tariffs.
Oh man.
And I would say that is to some extent down to looking for broader economic
Just get over this question.
heat.
Get over this
do we see a
question.
hot economy? Do we see constraints? Do we see what's going on with wages? You saw the ECI report today. It doesn't feel like a hot economy that wants to generate, Phillips curve kind of inflation. So we look at all those things, and we say that this was a decision to make. It obviously wasn't unanimous, but overall, that was the judgment that we made, and that's the action we took.
Just on the ample reserves point, how concerned were people around the table
Yeah.
about
We survived.
some tensions we've
We
seen in the
survived.
markets?
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't say
Inflation
concerned. So
from
what
tariff
happened
hits
is
instead
this,
of tariff inflation.
uh,
I love it.
balance sheet shrinkage, sometimes called QT.
Oh, he
went
said
on.
QT.
We had a framework in place. for
Not
monitoring
QE, not QE. Don't say
what
QE.
happened.
Don't say
The
QE.
overnight reverse repo facility.
I had
went down
100
pretty
on
much close to
QT.
zero.
Big win. Give me money,
And then
Rain.
Don't say
beginning in
QE. Give me
September,
Give me some money, Rain, Andy.
the federal funds rate
let's get it.
within the range, right? And it ticked up almost all the way
Let's
to
go.
interest-on reserve balances. There's nothing wrong with that. What that's telling you
Those
is
flyers,
that we're
I'm
actually
telling
in
you,
reserves, in an ample reserves regime.
Flyers are 50-50
So,
coin tosses.
We
Get
we
filled
knew this was going to
low
come.
on
Yeah,
some yes
yeah.
and
Finally did come.
sit
It
back
came
and pray.
Look, you're becoming a mention market
I could
pro
never- I
here,
could never
live
to
on
take the
air.
actions.
I learned
that we said
everything
we
I know
would
from
take.
you.
So, and those actions are today. So, we announced that we're resuming reserve management purchases.
Oh shoot.
That is
Oh, shoot,
completely
is this
separate
QE?
from monetary policy. It's just we need to keep an ample supply of reserves out there. Why so big? The answer to that is, if you look ahead, see that
It seems like he's
I
being
agree. I agree.
like intentional
Yeah.
to not
Our
say
framework
QE.
is such
You know what I
that-
mean? And how he's phrasing it.
so there's
Don't
times
say
when
QE,
reserves
pal.
are
Come
at a low
on.
level temporarily. So that's what happens on tax day. People pay a
Oh, we
lot
said
of money
tax.
to
This is a
government.
sweat.
Reserves
Any of you
drop
guys have tax?
sharply and
No.
temporarily. So this build up.
I did not have tax. That was a
There it
low
is.
one too.
99.
Oh
It
my
was going
gosh.
to happen because
That was sub
there's
20%.
also a
That was in the
secular
teens.
ongoing growth
For
of
yes,
the
it was
balance
it was in
sheet.
the teens.
Yeah,
Call
it was in the
constant
teens.
as it relates to the banking system or to the whole economy. And that alone calls for us to increase about $20-25 billion per month. So that's a small part. Not a small
Jack
part.
is saying he
It's
hates
also
that word. I
happening in
agree.
Hey,
the context
PNT,
of a
check the
temporary
chat.
month front loading to
Oh, yeah.
get reserves high enough to get through the tax period in in mid-April. So that's what's happening there.
Andrew.
Thanks,
Mr. Chairman.
This is the last
cool.
post-FOMC
Hey,
conference.
Leo, just throw him off the screen, please. Hide that.
This month.
Thanks.
Can you talk about how you're hoping the Supreme Court will rule?
Thanks,
And
Mr.
I'm just curious why the president is in on such a pivotal matter.
Leo, hide that, please. Thank you, sir.
Not something I want to address here,
We
Andrew.
should be better PMT. Thanks, man.
No, we're not legal commentators,
We're not legal commentators.
and we think we don't think that we help matters by trying to engage as a public discussion. I'll give you a mulligan though.
Give you a mulligan.
I don't know if that means I get 3 questions, but
just
He's feeling
this one
frisky.
more.
I guess I wanted to come back to the 1990s question.
All right, we got.
Do you see that as a useful model for thinking about what is happening in the economy right now?
Wow,
What
dissent
is
is
that
way
question?
down.
I don't think it rises to that level. So I did think that in 2019, where we cut 3 times, but this is such a unique situation. It's not the 1970s, let's put it that way, but we do have tension between our 2 goals. And so that's just unique in my time.
Yeah.
Just need beige
going
book,
back a
man.
long ways. We haven't had that. in
I
our
know,
framework.
dude. Beige book's the last one for us.
That when that's the case, then we try to take a balanced approach to the 2 things. And we
I
look
know.
at
Guys,
Yep.
we still have
Huge.
30
I
minutes
know. I know.
each of them
left. Don't be celebrating early.
That's very
We still got a lot of
analysis, really.
time to
But it
both.
just tells you you've got
both sweat the
I
nose
think ultimately what it
and
says
try to get
is
these
when they're
yeses home.
broadly equally threatened or equally at risk, you should be kind of neutral. Because if you're either accommodative or tight, you're favoring one or the other goal. And so we've been sort of
Wow, the
moving in
QT.
the direction of neutral. Now we're in the range of neutral. We're in the high end of the range of neutral, I would say, and that's what we're doing now. It
Uh-oh.
could happen that we.
Oh, no, he's
Dude,
saying
our
range.
nose are all
Okay,
looking
good.
so
we haven't
good.
made any decision about January, but as I said,
Hey, knock on wood. No
Well-positioned.
celebrating
He's
yet.
killing
Come
me.
on.
wait and see how the economy performs.
Edward.
You can sneak it in. Were you guys
No.
writing no
No.
credit, by
Thanks,
the
Mr.
way,
Chairman.
for
Edward
that
Lawrence,
longer shot
with Fox
too?
Business. I wanted to ask you,
Okay.
the inflation expectations has
I didn't
has
get
come
any.
down in your SEP
There.
report. Do you see the tariff pricing
Oh,
wanted
no.
as passing through the next 3 months? Is it 6 months?
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
That we're looking for that to end, and then
Oh,
Inflation
Oh, no, this is tariff
from
inflation.
jobs,
tariffs.
the threat to the economy.
Yeah.
Tariff
This is
inflation.
tariff
No!
Oh, it's
Of
Dude.
tariff. And there's
Oh, man.
that was such
Oh,
a
what are
direct
they
question.
doing?
Right from the
other parts.
jump.
So it may take
Dude.
quite a while for an individual tariff to take its full effect.
Damn it.
It's had that effect. Isn't it just a one-time pricing?
I'm surprised they're still,
We've actually, we actually
just
looked at
hammering on these
all of the
tariffs.
announcements
Damn.
and what you get from all that, you see sort of for each one of them, there's a time period and then it's fully in. So if there are no new tariff announcements and
Can we just get beige book
new
here?
tariff
Yep.
announcements
So I did buy
from
500
goods
It's down to
pandemic
5.
shares for what
first
it's
quarter
worth at 23
or
cents. So let's
right, or
see.
roughly, we haven't been able to
if they
predict this
can
with precision, but call it the first quarter or
Buy that
so.
at
Yeah, it's down at
next year.
5.
Another
bro.
order up.
And from here, it should be.
But how much does he say
Hopefully
pandemic? Like,
people
what's
fill that.
the past history?
We don't really have precision, but after that, again, if
He
there
used
are
to always
new
say it, and then he
being
didn't say it in
announced
his last meeting.
take
So everybody's
to get
like
fully in.
super bearish on him saying it. But he used to
then
like
Yeah,
always
so it's 5%
find a way
right now.
to.
next year.
And I wanted to see if I could address sort of
Talk
the
about
and the president's been talking openly about a new Fed.
I got 36% now.
Your current job right now, or change your thinking at all.
No way, says Trump.
No mulligans for it.
No mulligans.
Michael McKee from Bloomberg Radio and
Just
Television.
no comment.
10-year rates are 50 basis points higher than when you started cutting back in September of 2024, and the yield curve basically has been.
Oh no, yield curve.
Why
Don't
do
say
you
yield
think
curve.
that continuing
Oh,
to cut
no.
now, especially in the absence of data, is going to
In the
bring
absence
down
of
the
data.
yield on the thing that will
Data
move
questions
the
could be
economy
beige
the
book.
most.
Should this be beige book?
So we're looking at the real economy and focusing.
Pal
on
was
that.
taking me to the woodshed today. Bring back Trump rally markets, please.
Bonds move around. You've got to look at why they're moving around. If you look at inflation compensation, it's very, that's when part of it is inflation inflation compensation.
Don't say yield curve. Why do the guys
And they're at very comfortable levels.
say yield
They're at
curve?
levels
He's
consistent.
scaring me.
Once you get out past the very short term now, break evens are at at quite levels that are quite consistent with 2% inflation over time. So there's nothing happening with rates going up out there that suggests concern about inflation in the long term or anything like that. I mean, I look at these things pretty regularly.
still
Same
got
thing with
almost
surveys.
30 minutes.
Surveys are all saying that the public understands our commitment to 2%.
Talk about beige book. Come
expects
on.
us to get back there. So why are rates going up? It has to be something else. It must be an expectation of higher growth or something like that. And that's a lot of what's been going on. I mean, you saw a big move, toward the end of last year, which was not to do with us. It was to do with other developments.
Well, you just mentioned that the public is expecting you to get back to 2%, and Americans overwhelmingly are citing high prices, inflation as their number one concern. Can you explain to them why you're prioritizing?
Could he bring up pandemic?
The labor market, which seems relatively
When he
stable
talks about
inflation a
inflation,
lot
could it be
instead
here?
of their number one concern, inflation?
So we, as you know, we have a network of contacts in the U.S. economy, which is really unmatched if you go through the 12 reserve banks. So we hear loud and clear how people are experiencing really costs. It's really high costs. And a lot of that is not the current rate of inflation.
Come
A
on,
lot of
talk
that is
about
just
the
embedded
pandemic.
higher cost due to higher inflation in 2022 and 23. So that's what's going on. So
He's not going to talk
restore
about
inflation
pandemic here. I'm surprised.
To its 2% goal, and our policy is intended to do that. But also have a strong economy where real wages are going up, where people are getting jobs and earning money, and we're going to need to have some years where real compensation is higher. It's positive, significantly positive. So nominal wages are higher than inflation, for people to start feeling good about the affordability issue. And so we're working hard on that. We're trying to keep inflation under control, but also support the labor market and strong wages so that people are earning enough money and feeling economically healthy again.
Victoria. Hi, Victoria Guida with Politico. Just to follow up on that, I mean, this is now the third time that you've cut this year and inflation is around 3%. So is the message that you're sort of trying to send with that you're okay with where inflation is for now, as long as people understand that at some point you still want to get back to 2% because inflation is relatively stable where it is?
Everyone should understand, and the surveys show that they do, that we're committed to 2% inflation, and we will deliver 2% inflation. It's a complicated and
I don't know about
difficult situation where the labor market is also under pressure, where job creation may actually be negative. Now, supply of workers has also gone way down. So
No
the
restrictive
unemployment hasn't
is
moved that
saving
much,
me.
but, it's a labor market that seems to have significant downside risks. People care a lot about that. That's the job. That's
From
their
10
ability.
200
If they get laid off or if they're doing the labor force.
Costs
to find
$20,
work.
How many
right?
shares
So
did you get?
that's really important to people.
Man,
The story with inflation and,
yeah,
well
that's
aware that
a
this is
great
a
pickup.
story at this point is that
I'm hoping he can
if
bring.
you get away from tariff,
Pandemic is reaching, dude.
in the
Come
low
on,
two-
pandemic.
So it's really
What is
tariff
it at right now?
that's causing the most of the inflation.
It's at like 29.
And we do
I don't
think
know
of
how he
those
doesn't
as low
talk about
to
Pandemic. I got I got a 29.
Pandemic.
time,
when he's talking about the
one-time
history
price
of
increase.
inflation.
Our job is to make sure that it is, and we will do that job. But right now, you've got this difficult balance.
I mean, we're still looking good. It's just beige book.
if it was just inflation and the
Yep.
labor market was just really strong, and then rates would be higher. As they
Facebook
were for more than a year.
I still got quantitative
easing,
easing,
and
and that is
Inflation.
not
Sorry
looking
about
good.
about the labor market because
I got a no on that one.
very low.
Nice.
If you remember when inflation was very high,
Ooh.
with the
Yep.
labor shortage, so we could focus
Tightening
entirely
did
on.
hit.
We should have
on
doubled
inflation.
down when it came
Now
down to the
it's different.
50s.
We actually have risks to both, and I think we're doing the best we can for people. They also care about their jobs. They do care about affordability, and the best thing we can do there is both to support economic activity, but also, make sure that when tariff inflation goes down and disappears, inflation lands around 2%.
Elizabeth.
Wow, another tariff inflation.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth Schulze with ABC News. Just to
Hey,
follow up,
Elizabeth, what's going on?
growth being negative, why do you think job growth is so much worse than some of the official data? Why do you think job growth is, to follow up on your comments about job growth, why is it so much worse than the official data suggesting?
Oh, well, we know, I think it's.
Is this going to be beige book?
I don't think this is particularly controversial. It's very difficult to estimate job growth in real time. They don't count everybody. They have a survey, and there's been something of a systematic overcount. And so we expected, and they correct it twice a year. So the last time they corrected it, we thought the correction would be 800,000 or 900,000. I won't get the numbers exactly right. And that was exactly what happened. So
wow,
that has persisted.
S&P is just ripping as a result of this. It's up. I mean, in the last hour.
How much is it up?
0.5%. Nothing crazy, but just.
And
big green candle. Crypto's kind of reacting, but not as. ETH looks good here.
40,000 jobs could be negative.
Bitcoin's bouncing.
That could be
Even Bitcoin reacted before this went live.
But in any case, the thing is that's
we can offset any losses here on the mentioned
that's demand. Labor supply has also come down quite sharply. So, if you had a world where there's just no growth in workers and a lot of jobs to have full employment,
give us the beige book.
That's what we're looking at. But I think a world where job creation is negative, I just think we need to watch that situation very carefully and be in a position where we're not, pushing down on job creation with our policy.
When we're talking about supply, we have seen major American employers like Amazon
20 minutes
AI
to go
in job cuts. How much right now are you factoring in AI into the current weakness?
Another
in the job
AI
market?
question.
So it's probably part of the story. It's not a big part of the story yet. We don't know whether it will be, but for example, if you look at, you can't miss the big announcements of layoffs and also companies saying that they're not going to hire anybody for a long time, and they cite AI. That's all clearly happening. At the same time, people are not filing for unemployment insurance, and since job creation, job finding rates are extremely low, if there were big numbers of layoffs, you'd expect the continuing claims to go up, and you expect new claims to go up. But really haven't much.
Yeah. So
it's a little bit curious. But longer term, though, the question is, what are we going to see here? And we don't know. But it's it may be that in past technology, really significant technology innovation eras, you have seen some jobs destroyed and other jobs made. Ultimately, what's happened for a couple hundred years is when you get through all that, you have higher productivity and you have new jobs, and there are enough jobs for people. This may be different. It's every time we have a wave of technology, we think, this could put a lot of people out of work. What are they going to do? In the past, there's always been more work and higher productivity, and incomes have risen. What will happen here, we're going to have to see. But right now is such early days. We don't think we see much. It's certainly not showing up in layoffs yet.
Thank you, Chair. Enda Curran, Bloomberg News. Given the breadth of views on the policy committee, why is there such a division of views between
the policy what?
On the committee?
Thank you.
Why is there such a division of views between the presidents and the board?
That would have been a part of.
It's not so stark as that. The views are more varied in each group as well. There's some of that, but I would say they're also governors and they're people on both sides in both groups. I wouldn't put too much in that.
PMT didn't miss anything.
Given your
he misheard a question. Did not say pardon.
Yep.
If the Supreme Court is to strike down the tariffs that they're currently hearing in terms of growth and inflation. Thank you.
I really don't know. It would depend.
So many tariff inflation questions today.
Yeah.
Can't really help you there.
Can't really help you there, bud.
Christine. Thank you, Chair Powell. Christine Romans, NBC News. I wanted to ask you about how the higher income households are really driving spending right now. They're backed by home equity and stock market wealth, but lower income consumers are really struggling with the accumulation of 5 years now of rising prices. It's price levels holding some back. How sustainable is this so-called K-shaped economy, and what are the Fed's thoughts on whether that's a risk going forward?
So we do, through our vast network of contacts and just through our observation of what's going on in the economy, we hear about this a lot. If you listen to the earnings reports for consumer-facing companies that tend to deal with low and moderate income people, they'll all say that we're seeing people, tightening their belts, changing products that they buy, buying less, and that sort of thing. And so it's clearly a thing. It's also clearly a thing that, asset values, housing values, and securities values are high. They tend to be
I'm shocked he's not
more at
going
the
back to
higher
pandemic
end
fear.
of the income and wealth. So as how sustainable it is, I don't know. Most of the consumption does happen by people who have more means. I think, the top third accounts for way more than a third of the consumption, for example. So it's a good question how sustainable that is. The best we can do is to have a, price stability and a strong labor market. And what we saw, for example, what we saw at the end of the
all of our notes looking good. We just need beige book.
with the outbreak of
Did
the
you say pandemic?
Oh,
right
yes,
there?
yes.
Again, there we go.
Dude, what a call.
Hey.
Oh
Pandemic.
my gosh.
I got that at Let's. Did you ride on
Dude,
pandemic there?
You got. Let's
We're
go
going to
PMT
people
money
in the
rate.
bottom quartile, the bottom part of the low and moderate income. So
Wow, 150 to 500 on pandemic.
We are so bad.
for a long period
Wow.
is really,
All
really
right.
good from a social standpoint.
It's going to make up the
People
beige
at the
book
lower income
losses.
levels.
Maybe
and
he'll-
that's what we all want to get back to.
He'll
So
sneak
we
in
got
here.
to have price stability, and we got to have full employment, maximum employment.
And just quickly, you mentioned the housing market remains kind of weak with these rate cuts that we've seen. Is there a chance we're
Man,
going to see
great call,
Nice one,
PMT.
PMT.
Wow.
people can maybe
That feels
enjoy
great.
that part of
Let's
wealth
get a beige
creation?
book
The
for the
average age or
boys.
median age of a first-time homebuyer is 40 years old. That's the highest on record.
What,
Beige book
So
would
the
be
wait,
housing
what
legendary.
price did you get in on pandemic? You hit from 150 to 500?
Challenges.
Yeah, I was
25
talking about
basis
this,
point
right? I bought
decline in the federal funds rate
500
is going to
shares
make
at
much of a
23
difference for
cents.
people.
So pandemic was tank.
Housing supply is low.
It was over 50.
Many people have very,
cents
very
pre-market.
low.
But I just had a limit order up as
low
people.
rate mortgages from the
People were
pandemic
selling.
period.
Boom,
and they
dude.
kept refinancing and caught
Said it
the
again.
really low. So it's maybe
Wow,
expensive
he hit
to
it
them to
again.
move.
So what'd you hit for like
We're
350 on
ways
that?
away from that change.
I should have sized up there.
Also, we
Wow.
haven't built enough housing in the
Cooking,
country
dude.
for a long time.
385.
So a lot of estimates suggest that we just need more housing of different kinds. So housing is going to be
We're coming back.
a problem, and really the tools to address it are we can raise and lower interest rates, but we don't really have the tools to address a secular housing shortage, a structural housing
Wow,
shortage.
look how low
Yeah, it
beige
is.
gets.
2 cents. We can lower average entry there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris Rugaber, Associated Press.
Beige book.
You mentioned on inflation, services inflation being low, goods inflation looking like maybe it'll peak. We had the wages report you
Wow,
mentioned
look
today
at this
showing
cent.
moderating wage growth.
I can't believe
Where are the
pandemic, dude.
inflation
What an
risks? It
epic
looks like
hit.
inflation is cooling in your view. At the same time, you have potentially negative hiring. Why not?
Robbie is
why
looking
not
really-
learn more about
really good
maybe
on no
more
dissent.
cuts in this environment?
Well, I think the risk
No, I got no
inflation
dot
is
plot,
pretty
no
clear to see,
restrictive.
and that is, we see
Nope.
higher inflation. As I mentioned, most of the
Oh, yeah. You
inflation
didn't play no dissent?
over target is from goods, and we estimate, we
Yeah,
expect,
restrictive looking good.
most of us, that inflation will be a one-time price increase and then come
Yo,
down.
PMT,
We just
one
came
more
off an
time. You
experience where,
hit for pandemic from
inflation
150
turned
to
out be
350?
much more persistent
To 500.
than anyone had expected.
No. 115
You
to
know, that's the
500.
risk. The risk
And you
is
hit that
So
thing live.
profit
And you were
of
just talking to us about how you kind of do the
385.
live versus yes.
maybe
We'll
because
take it there. We'll take it.
Dude,
companies
what
who
a
are now
hit.
Yes.
holding back from passing through the tariffs.
We were
will
saying-
just keep doing that, so you'll see you see that. I think the other possibility is less likely.
I don't want to
and
bring
that
up
is
anything
just
about our
that,
no shares. Let's just
the
hope those
labor market
hold.
gets tight or the economy gets tight, and you see, just
How much time
traditional
left here? I think
inflation.
about
I
About
don't see that
15
as
minutes.
particularly likely, but so I think again, all across the
Yep.
committee, people see the picture pretty similarly, but see the risks quite differently. And some people do see the inflation risk, and I
No,
wouldn't dismiss
no.
that case.
Oh
I
no,
don't
he could
dismiss
talk
that
about
case.
dot
But
plot here.
you've got to make an assessment, and this is the assessment we made.
God, all the
Okay,
no's
he's
are
not
so
he's not
good.
doing it.
Hi, Chair
I
Powell.
know.
I'm Neil Irwin with Axios.
Getting
This
so
has come
nervous,
up a couple
though.
times today, but to be clear,
10
do you
minutes
believe
left.
that we're experiencing a positive productivity shock, whether from
Gotta hold.
AI or policy factors or whatever? And how much is that driving the higher GDP projection in the SEP?
So yeah, I mean, I never thought I would see a time when we had 5-6 years of 2% productivity growth. This is higher. This is definitely higher, and it was before it could be attributed to AI. I also think if you look at what AI can do, and if you use it in your
AI is
personal
crazy,
life,
man.
I imagine many of us have, you can see the prospects for productivity. I think it makes people who use it more productive. It may make other people have to find other jobs, though. So it could have productivity implications while also having social and labor market implications that we don't have the tools to deal with. But yes, I think we're definitely seeing higher productivity. I think it's a little quick to be saying it's generative AI, but I don't know. The pandemic may have induced people to do more automation and do more things with computers to replace
He is just
people, and that raises productivity, output per hour.
Does that imply a higher neutral rate, and therefore the policy might be a little easier than it seems?
All things equal, yes, but all things aren't equal. There are many things pushing in different directions on where the neutral rate would be. But yes, that argument does come up.
Matt Egan.
Thanks, Chair Powell. Matt Egan with CNN. After today, you only have 3 more meetings at the helm of the Fed. Since becoming
It's a
Fed
good
chair,
question.
you've seen multiple trade wars, the pandemic, COVID reopening, period of high inflation. I know your term's not up as chair until May, but I'm wondering if you've given any thought to what you want your legacy to be.
Wow.
My thought is that I really want to turn this job over to
the beige book, your
whoever
legacy.
replaces me
Mm-hmm.
with the economy in really good shape.
Wow.
That's what I want to do. I want inflation to be under control, coming back down to 2%, and I want the labor market to be strong. That's what I want. And all of my efforts are to get to that place. They have been all along.
Wow,
but
so many good no's,
that's-
man. If
that's
you
what
just
I mean.
hold
It's,
this
I
through.
don't have time to think about bigger things.
know.
I hope many years ahead to worry about that, but there's enough to do.
Relatedly, have you given any more thought, and can you tell us any more about your plans on whether or not you plan to stay on the Fed Board of Governors even after your term as chair expires?
Again, I'm focused on my
Look, not to
as chair. I
celebrate
haven't
too soon, but we
got
were
anything
thinking
new
this
on
was
that to
going to be a
tell you.
no sweep, and
Mark for the
Looks
last.
good.
it's looking a little like it.
Chairman Mark Hamrick with Bankrate. Even while many price levels remain elevated, the reductions in the federal funds rate means that savings rates, or yields to be more precise, have peaked, while key borrowing rates remain elevated. And that's, as we've discussed here, as many Americans
Come on,
struggle
give
with
us the
liquidity
beige book.
or emergency savings challenges. Is that just collateral damage or an unintended consequence because your tools are limited in addressing individual
Ooh.
or household liquidity constraints, insufficient
Uh-oh.
money in the bank?
Don't be consumer confident.
Don't know. I wouldn't agree
Wow,
that
beige
the
book is so
collateral
low.
damage
Damn
of
it.
our I mean, over time we do what
Wow,
we do
it's
in
at
order to create
99.
price stability and maximum employment, and those things are huge.
I just bought 500 shares at a penny.
All the people we
For
serve.
beige book, yeah, it's at
When
1%.
we raise
now.
rates,
I bought
we
them.
bring
I
inflation
bought all
down.
those shares.
That does work by slowing the economy, but we've moved back our policy back down to where it's certainly not strongly restrictive at this point. I think it's sort of in the range of neutral.
No, he just said
Um,
restrictive.
So that's what we're trying to do.
He did say restrictive.
I would want people to
My
understand.
Did you hit on that or no?
I think what
Brutal. He was
people
on
are
no.
feeling Is the
Oh,
effect of
He
higher
got in at
prices.
10
There was a
cents,
global
too.
wave, sort of every
Oh
large
my
economy in the world.
gosh.
Jerome Powell was
So
not
every
expecting any of
large
those legacy
open
questions,
economy,
eh? Like he was not ready for
No
any of
basically around
those.
the world had a
dude.
wave of inflation that looked an awful lot like ours.
Dude,
we
that
actually
was
came
gonna
through
save
better
me.
than any other country, substantially better.
Oh,
We had higher growth, we had better
crushed,
labor market,
boys.
and this is really due to
200
the American economy.
contracts.
We have an extraordinary economy, and people are innovative.
Still,
work hard.
7 minutes
And,
left.
No's are
Hey,
tough,
so,
guys.
I know.
we're
They're
I know.
all
God,
to
the
work
nose
in
get down to
economics
the wire.
jobs are really fortunate.
That's why I'm like,
to
you
have the
can't
US
celebrate
economy. So,
early in this
thank you very
game.
much.
Did you just call it? Thank you very much.
That's it.
That's it.
It's done.
That's it. He's done.
Oh wow.
I mean,
we hit.
let's go. I mean, we did all right.
I mean, I hit 1, 2, 3, 4,
The
5.
last question.
Missed
I
3.
get
Dude.
restrictive. Oh my gosh.
That is
restrictive
brutal.
Land. That would have been.
Wow.
That would have been 20 to 200.
Wow. So what did we hit for?
Beige book got slammed.
Damn. So look, shutdown hit, tariff inflation hit, median, good afternoon, unchanged, QT, tax,
QT was good.
restrictive, pandemic hit. That was a crazy
Yeah,
hit. PMT.
pandemic saved us a little bit there.
Pandemic, restrictive. Wow. What a
Volatility no held at 43 cents. That was a nice one.
I got cooked.
So if
damn.
how did you do, Andy?
Volatility knows. All right.
Dude, I did all right. I ended up with yeah, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins,
No dot plot was a good one too.
3 losses.
Yep.
So I lost 200, 700, and 950, and then I hit for
Whoa, starting with the losses.
yeah, not great. I hit
No,
for
but, you know.
400, 600.
So if you scroll to the top of the market, in the top left, it'll give you like a number
Oh yeah, here we go.
of like
Your position.
no, if you have the Powell market open and you scroll to the top where it has the chart,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, where in the top left, it should give you an ROI.
Okay. Oh no, I was on my phone actually. I'm gonna pull it up.
Here I got.
Yeah,
my
pull-
ROI is
pull it up.
negative 52%.
Wow.
I bet 752 overall across all the markets, and I lost 432. My wins, no dot plot, plus $72.
Okay.
Yes, quantitative tightening.
Yes.
Plus $64.
That was a good one.
And no volatility, plus $23. Everything else was an L. Biggest L, beige book, negative 223.
Damn.
Look,
Yeah,
I-
same. I don't know why. Because like I don't know. I just wanted to like hit a yes, right? It's like
I know,
you want to
yeah.
get the feeling to hit the yes. So for some reason, I also smashed beige book to the max, and that was my biggest L. I think I basically came out break even here, so not the worst in the world.
Nice.
I'll try to pull it up. The PMT, how did you do?
I came out just around plus 600.
Yes,
Mostly
dude, let's
from
go.
Yes.
Pandemic. You know, if we
Pandemic
hadn't
went
been pandemic,
crazy,
it would
Yeah,
have
that's a
man.
big one.
only up $100.
That's a big one.
But we'll take it. That
Wow.
was a sweat.
He
I-
cut it short too. Last time we went all the way to 330. Cut it about 10 minutes
reaction.
short.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Good for
markets
the
look
nose.
good. Bitcoin's running. Had a huge wick. ETH's breaking. Nothing crazy though. Just kind of like steady.
VTI up almost a whole percentage.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
It's a good day.
Wow.
I mean, this is literally all-time high, right? I mean, if
Of
this
S&P.
is for VTI, which I think pretty much is very. Let me see. What is it? What does SPY look like?
Vanguard.
This is. Yeah, I think this is like legit all-time high, pretty much.
It is new all-time highs on Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF.
Yep.
After Powell's speech, look at that. New all-time
Wow.
highs. Huge. Absolutely huge. Huge.
That's a good day. And I mean, let's see. What does the January Fed rate decision look like?
Wow. Wow.
Fed decision in January, pretty much unchanged. It's still pricing in them maintaining rates at 80%.
I bet
So-
no dissent, and that one reporter was straight irking me. Dude, I hear
I
you,
know.
man. I absolutely hear you, man.
All right, but how are you guys feeling now on mention markets, having just played this one? Andy, was this the first mention you've ever played?
Yeah, like with actual size and like, you know, trying to figure it out. Yeah, it was.
Is it motivating? Are you guys after this going to be like, I got to play some Trump mention markets, or
The
are you
skill,
like,
man.
It
'Cause
is a skill,
you
man.
end up getting to know the person and what
Yeah.
what their reaction is to certain questions and whether they bounce it back. It's not just like how many times it's time. It's also personality.
Yeah.
Just huge. Like you've watched, we've done a couple of Jerome Powell, FOMC meetings, but you've also had a ton of Trump experience, right? So you've gotten to know his personality.
Trump is like, the biggest one, because Trump will go live from the White House almost every day. So you just build up so much intuition on what he's going to say. And then his talking points will change day to day. Like his latest talking point is that we used to be a dead country. Now we're the hottest country. And hottest is always a strike, but you could buy hottest at even money for a few weeks. So it's like every speech you could just go, yes, hottest. And you would, double up because he was saying it every single time.
Wow.
And for those, it's funny. I don't even really look at historical data much because it's like I already have just watched them all. I kind of know what the vibe is.
Yeah, guys, let's do a quick standby and then we will recoup and recap the day. We're going to switch the screen around and get you square up in the middle. See you guys.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to Kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? Infinify gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. Infinify is a battle-tested, reliable. Hey, we are back. We are so back. FOMC Live, Mention Markets, Mega Stream, recap here. Man, all right. So how'd we do, boys, across the board?
Down 400.
All right.
I was up 600. We'll take it.
I got to check mine out one last time.
Okay.
I'm mobile here.
So
I think I'm just barely
PMT,
down.
Does this bring you above 80K in total winnings?
This literally puts me right below. I'm at 79.3K roughly right now. So we're right on the cusp. It kind of will, plus or minus a tiny bit because I have a lot of positions open, but I think we'll break 80K this week. We started, I always track my weeks starting on Sunday. Like that's the first day of the week. So we're up just over, this brings us just over 5K. So we're at 5.3K profit on the week so far. Hopefully we continue to do well going into
so you mentioned
Thursday
that,
and the weekend.
balance is kind of in flux because you have some positions, open or orders, open orders. What else? I mean, there's no mention markets happening right now. What are you tracking? Where do you have some orders and positions?
Yeah, so the main other markets that I will trade, even though I don't do it as much, but AI model markets, I used to trade those a lot for like what will be the number one AI model in a given month. I traded those very heavily, but if you guys have followed the LM Arena, like the AI model rankings, Gemini, Google's model has been number one for over 6 months now. So it hasn't been a competitive race, but I do have a larger position, $15,000 on Anthropic's model Claude to not be number one.
So that's looking good.
I entered that. It's looking great, but look, I got into that in the 90s.
Okay.
So it was something that, it was almost a sure thing, but I feel like it should be priced closer to like 99%. And I could get it at 92,
makes
93.
sense. And so, I mean, I've seen that as well. It used to be that all of these models would leapfrog one another, but Gemini has just been number one and staying there.
Yeah, and I think what's crazier that isn't talked about enough as someone who's followed these rankings and these models closely is back in March of this year when I would trade this heavily, it was like every week, like you're saying, it would be leapfrogging. It'd be, ChatGPT's model would be number one. Then Gemini would come out with a new model. Then Grok would come out with a model. It was just completely back and forth. And now, not only has it not been changing much, but it hasn't been improving much. So, the ELO scores that we're seeing, granted, this is one third party that ranks them. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of rate an AI model, but this is what I look at the most. But we just haven't seen a ton of improvement, I guess, from these LLMs in terms of these like third party ELO scores, but won't stop.
Is there any other
a lot of
locks that
investment
you're
for
seeing
sure.
on Kalshi right now? Like, or maybe generally, like, what is your outlook on kind of going from, what is it, 79, 80K to like 200, 300K? Talk to us a bit about like how, like the strategy you've done from, like 1,000 to 10,000, and then how that changes from 10 to 100 and then 100 to 1,000,000. How do you kind of think about managing your capital in the market and in these markets when it comes to that kind of transition?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So like, what I would say is I trade a lot of mention markets, right? And on mention markets, maybe maximum I could get down is $5,000 to $10,000 on a good price. So I don't need a lot of liquid cash to trade mention markets. So what I try to do, my portfolio's 80K is I will try to keep 10K to 20K in liquid cash, and then I will place 50 to 60K spread out into positions that are very high probability. So the term that people have used frequently on prediction markets, and it's gotten a lot of negative feedback, is bonds. Yeah. And there's a lot of different definitions of what somebody considers a bond or not. Sure, people use the term a little loosely, but what I will say is one of the most common mispricings I believe you'll find on Kalshi, on these prediction markets, are events that should be priced closer to say 98, 99%, but they'll sit at like 90% or maybe 95%. Because a lot of users, they have a long shot bias, right? They want to have a 50x, a 20x. So they'll be willing to buy things at 5 cents when they really should be getting, a penny. So talking about that Anthropic play, right? I will try to put a large, ideally like 50 to 60K of my portfolio should be in these kind of high probability events. And that way, maybe I'm getting 5% a month in very sure things. But obviously, the counterpoint to that is that if I hit a bad, tail of like a 1% hits, I can have a big loss. So that's what happened last week when I lost 5K.
Yeah, it's like similar to like the day in the life of a turkey. It's like very linear, and then it's just like straight down.
That's what everyone posts about
straight
bonds.
Up, same thing. And it's like people say they compare it to like, I think it's like a very safe like option strategy where you just consistently do a certain type of option buying, but then just those one kind of esoteric moment where you get this catastrophic outcome. So just to recap then, what's your so you're almost at six figures from trading on Kalshi. You're doing a couple $1,000s a week. What would you say is like your goals for Q1, Q2 next year?
So I would love to hit 100K by end of this year. I mean, I have 20K to go. That's going to be tough. So once I get up to 100K, it's like right now I'm still focused on mentioned markets because I just think that that's where all my edge is. But it's going to get to the point where like, my time could better be spent on like bigger, larger markets, like election markets, things like that. But obviously right now that's not my specialty. So I don't want to go into a market I don't have an edge in. So I would say long-term, my goal is to start diversifying in what types of markets I'll trade. And I would love to start doing maybe more like market making where you're kind of just playing the spread. And that's somewhere to where having a larger portfolio size can be a big benefit. So those are some of the verticals I'm thinking about long-term, and maybe even like dipping my toes in some sports markets, which I know I'm not saying there that I'm going to be like picking a sports team before a game, but there are like market making, there's profitable strategies you can do.
Well, was there anything that you realized, and you mentioned limit orders, and this was, one of the tactics as you progressed, you've been doing this for several months now. Was there anything that you wish you would have known earlier on in the journey to either, protect your capital back then? Did you have any blowups, or was there any, war stories from when you were a little bit early on in this journey?
I have definitely had my fair share of blowups. Like we were just touching on, I lost 5K last week. I lost 6K when my portfolio was like maybe 30K at the time. So it was a much bigger loss back then. But funny enough, I'm a very risk averse person naturally. So like my actual negative drawback is I tend to undersize my positions, so I won't take large enough positions. So if I could tell myself something historically, it would be that I wish I would have sized up in those times that I had high conviction. But I will say that's terrible advice for the general listener, because I think generally you should do the opposite. But like I said, I'm very risk averse. So naturally, but I guess just another thing that I've learned along the way that I always would tell a new user is start out small, but be very humble in the beginning. It's really easy to see these markets and be like, there's no way he's going to say this. And just feel all confident, but do your research and build up your own kind of thesis.
Yeah, incredible.
Love it. I mean, look, I took some L's trying to basically take like long dated call options on crypto this year. They didn't exactly pan out, so my Kalshi account's looking a little sad. And sports is just going to be straight sports gambling. So that's kind of like, there's no edge in that. I like the market making thought process.
Yep.
I like the idea that, if you're looking to basically go from different sizes, there has to be different strategies. I guess like for all the people, I mean, I think we've kind of hit on this a bit, but for all the people who are brand new to Kalshi, to prediction markets, like, what is your easiest, best way to just get started? Let's say you got $100 portfolio. I just want to reaffirm, I got a $100 portfolio. I want to start, trading on prediction markets on Kalshi. There's got to be some like kind of fast feedback loop here, so I have the chance to compound, but it can't be too risky. How do you advise someone to get started trading on prediction markets to go from that $1,000 or $100 to $1,000?
Yeah, I mean, I would say first off, like you said, starting with hundreds, like to $1,000s, a perfect starting bankroll, something to where you're going to feel something at least. The most important thing, is to pick a niche, and ideally pick something that's not sports and you're naturally interested in. So, I could sit here and watch 10 hours of Trump saying Tylenol 100 times or whatever. I love mentioned markets, right? I love watching these speeches. But maybe you're someone who's very musically inclined. So there's tons of Spotify markets, on Billboard markets. So I would say pick a niche and just follow and watch those markets very closely. Maybe you have your own thesis that you build doing research of putting $5 on one side. But I just think it's really important in the beginning. Like when I started out, I would spend I was working, right? So I would spend all my free time just scanning markets nonstop. And I'd be reading the contract rules. I'd be watching two markets. I'd be thinking about like, how are two markets related to each other, right? If this market moves, is this market correlated to where it should move as well? So I just would obsessively watch markets, read the contract rules, follow the news cycle. How are these markets moving when the news drops? Okay. So what is the first source of news, right? That's going to, by the time you see something on a headline, I guarantee you prediction markets would have already moved that market like at least minutes before, if not an hour before. So, I just think for new users, pick a niche, really follow the market closely, and then build up a good source of like information flow. So whether that's setting up notifications to follow news accounts, right? I watch all of Caroline Leavitt's White House meetings. I have every White House press reporter on notifications because I'm following, what are they talking about? So, I went into a ton of different points there, but, that's kind of the high level gist, is just follow these markets really closely.
I'm curious how transferable these strategies are across different categories. You mentioned you do a lot of Trump watching. Obviously, you've gotten to know his personality and it's sharpened your intuition on what he's going to say during a particular conference or week. Then you also mentioned that sports commentators are another category that you're watching closely. Are you getting to know these different sports commentators and their personality, or is there a different set of skills that you're using to do well in those categories?
Yeah, it's definitely very transferable, I would say, for the NFL announcers. So, it's what I talk about when I say mention markets, typically, of like how I define finding edges, is like the first part, right, is always data. Like when we're talking about this Powell speech, talking about, he said it X amount of times, so looking at historical speeches, historical transcripts, whatever's the most related to that specific market. And then the second part is that vibes aspect of like, is something happening with this current game that's going to impact what the announcers will say, right? I think I touched on that turf play, right, that I did for turf toe, right?
Yes.
Like historically, they're not saying turf that much, but if your starting QB's been out for 6 weeks with turf toe, that should be 90%. So that's the vibes aspect there. So I do think it's very transferable, especially within mentioned markets. But I would even take it another step to say, like, once you figure out how to build out an edge in one area, I think it's going to be very transferable to all sorts of markets, because you've understood how to kind of get an edge against the majority of other market participants. So you'll know how to start to build one out in other categories.
Wow.
Yep. Totally.
Man, PMT, man.
Very cool.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you today. What a run. What a run. I think the no's were the right call, obviously. I think it was pretty clear. We got snubbed on the beige book. We got snubbed on tariff inflation. I mean, how many questions about tariff inflation were there today?
Yeah.
It was nuts.
That was a bad read on my end.
It was nuts. It was so many questions about tariff inflation. And, you would think that people are, the tariffs aren't really that big of a topic anymore, but of course they are. So yeah, man.
It's what the people want to know.
It is, right?
I think, there is some solace in that, part of why he was talking about tariff inflation so much was that it's actually just a one-time price increase, which was different from the take that he had over the last few meetings. And this makes the markets, not the mentioned markets, but the overall markets do perform well because it was a bit more of a dovish take. PMT, outside of mentioned markets, what are you looking at? Stocks, crypto?
That's a great question. I mean, so I actually currently I don't own any crypto. I'm not at all bearish on crypto. I got into crypto first in like 2017. But my portfolio is all in just index funds. So I'm boring when it comes to traditional investments. You would think, as someone on prediction markets, that I'd be a little more risk on, but I'm all in on S&P 500 index funds. But like I said, I was into crypto in 2017 during that first bull run. I got killed on a few ICOs back then.
Oh no.
But I got to dip my toes back in one of these days,
It's exciting times out there.
Are you an accountant or did you quit?
I quit. So I was a CPA for 5 years. I worked at a Big Four firm for a few years, then worked in corporate accounting at a PE firm on the West Coast. So, I'm working more hours now, even though I was busy then, but I'm loving it.
Yeah. So is your kind of goal here just to be in what you're currently doing, just full-time prediction market streaming, etc. Just full on.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely just full on. And I mean, I want to continue to grow kind of the content side of this. So I'm putting a lot of effort into that. Obviously right now, my content is like hand in hand with the trading aspect, you know, 'cause
Yeah.
it's like what better way to start than just documenting a public journey of, but long term, I'd love to do like interviews, more news focused things. I think like what you guys are doing right now with prediction markets is like incredible with Kalshi, and like you guys naturally kind of commentate on the news, you do all these interviews and integrating it as part of the product. I think it's going to be big in the future. And you can look at, CNN, CNBC, all these big media companies now partnering. So I just think there's a huge content angle here, and right now, I mean, you've seen it with like the growth that prediction markets as a whole are getting. People want to learn about them. So I think having been in the space for, a year or so gives me an advantage to kind of try on the content side.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
And turn that into a whole business too, man.
Yeah. And appreciate the kind words, and you're crushing it on your journey as well. You're, out there looking at prediction markets as a category, and so are we. And so, we've kind of seen on one hand, it's like the financialization of everything. Tarek went on TBPN and said this. On the other hand, it's getting integrated into CNN and CNBC, and there's major partnerships with news channels, and the distribution is scaling worldwide. How do you think this pans out? What do you think the roadmap of prediction markets is over the coming months and years?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And it's like a year ago, being a user on these platforms, it's like this was just a small circle. I remember when I first discovered prediction markets and I went to some party on the weekend. It was all I would talk to people about. I'm like, did you know there's these platforms? They have markets on everything, to now it's like the last 3 months at just their growth's been exponential. So I think in the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to continue to see growth. Obviously, there's a lot of regulatory questions of, that's going to change the face of what these look like in the next year or so. But I'd say what's bullish for the space is that you're seeing like industry kind of giants that have been there for a long time, like FanDuel, these other sports companies now coming into the space, which while it's competition, I think it's a good thing, right? If they're invested in the success of this in the future, that's a good thing. Yeah.
And so like, I'm sure you saw this tweet. This guy said, if I want 4 Kiwis, all I have to do is create a market, put $15 on no. So he's going to show up to my house, slam yes and 4 Kiwis in his hand.
That's
goodbye DoorDash, goodbye Uber Eats. This capitalizes on those markets. Is that part of the TAM here? And then the follow-up to that was like, well, goodbye Bumble, goodbye Tinder, because I'm gonna slam. Am I gonna take your girl out on a date? Slam no, and then she shows up to my house and bets yes, and she gets enough for dinner that night. Where what is the you think this is gonna like replace XYZ industry?
Look, I don't think that that's actually included in the TAM, although I think it's the greatest meme, the greatest copy pasta. I hope people continue to evolve on that meme and think of new ways to apply it. I love those posts. But right now it's like the biggest catch and draw that prediction markets are taking over is sports. Because I think at the end of the day, sports on prediction markets is just a better model for most consumers, and people are going to enjoy it better, right? Like kind of having no house. But I think long-term, right, sports is one thing that's a decent industry, but long-term, I hope that it leans more into like trying to get kind of institutional capital, which would be like creating markets that really they could hedge, things with. So like the Fed rate decision is such a great market, and it does so much volume. You can imagine very, very obviously why like some firm would want to be able to hedge risk with interest rates. And then even like presidential elections, there's a very clear. So I hope long term, like that's where this moves towards. And that's where I think it's the huge unlock. So where like these aren't just, sports products, these become like real giant financial markets that like hedge funds are using, that, all sorts of firms are using.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the cool part too is that the average folk use it. We can use it. We can trade it. And I mean, man, the level of cognitive dissonance that's going to happen when people are realizing that there's all these events happening that folks are, betting on the outcomes of. and that they're a part of the event and don't even realize that there's a market and then find out after. It's going to be like the most trippy, like the onboarding flow is so strong because it's like, oh, I was a part of something and then this happened. Oh, I could have made money on that. I knew it was going to happen or I didn't. It's not like, oh, I got to download this wallet and do this crypto stuff, or I got to, go get into this investment class. It's very comes very intuitively, I think.
Well, the funniest thing I saw yesterday on that point was, there's this company RSBN that will host all of the Trump speeches.
Yep.
And yesterday, whenever I'm streaming these mention markets, I'll have RSBN on before as they talk about the speech.
Yep.
And they were showing Kalshi ads on what will Trump say in his upcoming speech. So
wow.
Our positions trades in this market were shown in RSBN to thousands of viewers. It was really funny to see, because people at home are probably like, what? There's a 60% chance Trump says this term, tariffs or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy. All right, PMT, man. Thanks for joining us, man. We're going to take a quick pause, quick break, guys. We'll be right back. We've got Vance and Michael of Framework Ventures to basically break down what the FOMC meeting meant or means for crypto, for asset prices, some of the latest happenings, guys. Big shout out to PMT for joining us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on hitting that 80K mark or getting very close at the very least and hitting for. Glad we turned it around.
Thanks, man. We'll see you next time.
You guys.
FOMC,
right.
next one, January.
Yep.
See you there.
Take care.
See you soon.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on-chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to